protected the Quran by memorizing more than 6,000 verses of our holy book by memory. We have a whole program called the HIPS program where we have more than 35 students, boys and girls that have memorized. And mashallah, Razamian, great job, may Allah bless you. And it's also an academically strong student. So with that, let's begin with introducing my boss, Dr. Sawar Nasser, who was also the previous president of our organization. So Dr. Sawar Nasser, please come on up.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الصلاة والسلام أما بعد. Let's start this program by thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala first, and then we thank our guests. We have Mayor of Skokie, and we have Mayor of Martin Grove, and the trustees, and we have congressmen and some senators and some other guests. Very much for coming, and we like to thank all the volunteers today, all the donors today, and we would like to thank all the teachers and students and everyone and our MC. We thank everyone today. Just briefly, I want to mention that when we bought the Skokie building 4 years ago, Skokie helped us a lot. Now we are moving further to explore towards high school in our Martin Grove campus. So we are hoping that our friends of Martin Grove, Mayor, who we always say is our friend, whether he stays mayor or not, let's hope he helps. We are right now doing the parking and the traffic study, and inshallah we will be submitting that very soon. And we plan, because MCC has already approved the start of high school in August of 2018, inshallah. Now today's dinner is not for high school. I want to mention it is still for our existing school. So please donate generously. People who are blessed with Allah's bounties donate much more, and people who are not blessed that much, they can donate less. But do not leave this hall today without donating, even if you donate $1 single. Now, once we have the high school, we will be exploring the hiring of the superintendent so that we can take care of both the centers, inshallah. So those things will be coming in future, inshallah, very soon. So with that, I don't want to spend too much time. Thank you, Habib. Thank you, sisters. Thank you, everyone. And thank you, all the guests. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Thank you, Dr. Everywhere. You can always call him to may Allah bless you for all the efforts in him and his wife. May Allah give him good health and protect them. All right, the next individuals are the individuals, the teachers, one is the students, but the other one are the parents. And we have two PSD. I also think one of the best parent support groups. They're always there generating ideas, programs, and we all get along. That's what the best part is. So let these two individuals come on up right now. Mrs. Sahani Dawali and Belinda.
Assalamu alaikum, administrators, faculty, parents, and honored guests. My name is Belinda Tabayan, and I am currently the PSG president. First, I would like to introduce our PSG board. Please stand when I call your name. Shafiq Qureshi, our treasurer. Shabna Mahmood, our corresponding secretary. Amira Kashif Kutawala, our recording secretary. Kala Chaudhry, our past president. Tasneem Faiz, our parent rep to council. Fikrata Ademi, parent rep to council. With me is Tahani Tawal Awad, our vice president. I would also like to recognize all our PFD members. Ladies, can you all please stand? Jazakallah for all that you do. Families, teachers, and staff staff are the backbone of our strong and supportive community at MCC Academy. Family involvement is a long tradition at our school and one of its greatest strengths. Alhamdulillah, MCC Academy is blessed to have an active and energetic PSG. PSG is comprised of dedicated parents, giving countless hours in supporting our school through various fundraising activities and school events. For the past few years, being a PSG board member, I've seen the dedication and hard work from all of our members. I've been honored and humbled to have worked with these ladies. And although it is my last year here at the school, inshallah my daughter is graduating this year. I plan to continue to support the school, attending the events where possible. I will miss coming to the school on a daily basis, but I'm grateful for all the school experiences, events, and friendships that my family and I have made throughout the years here. I encourage all the parents to volunteer and get involved. It does make a difference in your child's education.
Assalamu alaikum everybody. As Belinda mentioned, parents' involvement is one of the keys to our child's success at school. PSG welcomes parents to attend our bi-weekly meetings and support our school events and fundraisers. At our meetings, we encourage ideas of how we can better support the school through fundraisers and different events. This past year, one of our biggest fundraisers we accomplished was World's Finest Chocolate. Students were asked to sell one box of these chocolates, and alhamdulillah we raised around $16,000 that will help fund our school STEM programs. PSG also supports many other school events such as Coffee with the Principal, Family Fall Fest, Family Restaurant Night, Chuck E. Cheese, and our new library at middle school, weekly pizza and popcorn sales, along with supporting the community with the event of Skokie coming together. Alhamdulillah, we had overwhelming, beautiful displays of food and clothing, over 15 different country tables showcasing our international Muslim cultures. We also have several activities coming up, such as SMOC, our art workshop competition for middle schoolers, our yearly junior achievement, art fair and show, and our Dairy Queen fundraiser. We welcome all parents to get involved with PSG. This is one of the best ways to support the school. The work PSG does truly along all of us at MCC Academy while helping fund important programs. Parent involvement matters. Parent involvement matters is the key to our child's success at school. Jazakallah khair.
Assalamu alaikum everyone. I know that when I'm speaking, people are listening. So it would be good to have all eyes on me. Thank you. This is what I do in the classroom. I have taught for many years too. Alhamdulillah. So thank you everyone for coming. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Arshi Mashtaba and I am the Vice Principal for MCCA. Alhamdulillah, it's so good to see all of you here, parents and students and staff, community members and supporters of MCCA. Alhamdulillah. It's good to see that everybody is here together supporting education. Alhamdulillah. It is an honor for me to be part of the MCCA, and it gives me the opportunity to work with some of the best and the most hardworking teachers and staff in the world. So please can I have everybody give a hand to MCCA teachers and staff. Thank you so much. They are relentlessly committed to teaching and learning. So thank you for that. Our next speaker is Kamran Hussain. He is very well, mashallah, known in the community. He and his family have been part of MCC community for decades. His dad, may Allah grant him Jannah, was a past president, as he is now following his dad's footsteps. He graduated from Northwest went to Northwestern, and then on to optometry school for his profession. So alhamdulillah, he has served in the MCC board and many other community projects that he has been part of. So without further ado, inshallah, if you can please welcome Kamran Hussain, the new president of MCC Community Center.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, we send our glad tidings to our beloved messenger. My beloved brothers and sisters, my elders, my aunts, my uncles, my friends I grew up with in the MCC, my friends I became friends with over the last few years as a parent at MCC Academy. Mayor Van Dusen of Skokie, Mayor Dan DiMaria of Horn Grove, educators at Malloy, District 219 employees. I'm a Nautilus graduate in 1994, standing right here. Our special guest, U.S. Olympian Iftihad Muhammad, on behalf of the Muslim Community Center, I welcome you all tonight to MCC Academy's annual dinner. As president of the MCC, it is our administration's job to stay true to the values of what has made MCC survive over the last 49 years. Our success is not always linear, as we always have bumps into many cooks in the kitchen, but it was designed that way to make sure that MCC was always welcoming for everyone. Does it always feel like those who feel like they're outsiders, does it always feel great for them? Probably not, but we always strive to do better. If we as a community are not going to survive, if we're not just going to survive, but we are going to thrive, we have to continue to be a big tent community. We are not a niche mosque that serves a certain group of people with a certain group of thought. We have to lower our expectations in our minds of what a member means in this community. It has to be broad and welcoming to all. So this leads me to MCC Academy. I know Mr. Qadri not starting to talk about test scores and how many surahs the kids learn as they graduate 8th grade. I am all for that, but we should expect that they know math and English and the Quran. But maybe there's something more important that can't be quantified. It is to create a Muslim identity. For these kids to come out of school, they should know who they are. I'm not talking about superficial changes. This kid is Islamic because he wears a thobe and he wears a kufi on campus. Let's shower our praise on some kid that becomes a hafiz. Yes, we want all of that. But it has to be more about knowing who they are as Muslims. It is about knowing why they are wearing what they are wearing, knowing what their surahs mean and when they say it and how it impacts their daily lives. Did they just memorize the Quran or are they walking the Quran? Creating a Muslim identity is also helped by the fact that we now have role models in the culture and that we can point to them and help give us a voice and in turn creates confidence in our children because they see themselves in these people. These role models by their actions or their voices articulate how young people in the age we live in, how these role models, how they feel. In the age we live in, it is amazing to have these role models and just by being themselves, they show Muslims in a positive light. They literally just have to be themselves. They literally just excel at their job and it gives the Muslim community pride. So I have homework for all of you. When you all go home, and I'm sure you have all heard of this, but listen to it again. I personally think it's one of the best speeches about Islam in America that I've ever heard. If your kids are old enough, make them listen to it. YouTube Dr. Sherman Jackson talk before Muhammad Ali's funeral. And I'm going to steal some of what he had to say that day. I'm going to steal it and I'll say it here tonight. Sister Iftihad Muhammad has shown that you can be cool and Muslim. You can endorse Nike just like LeBron James and Kevin Durant endorsing Nike without compromising your beliefs. This has nothing to do with the job. It actually has to do with your moral compass. Don't get me wrong, being endorsed by Nike or having a Barbie in your image is not the end all be all. I know some of the grumpy old men are going to think that that's what I'm saying is success. No. What I'm saying is that do not discount how it can help the psyche of our children. Just like the autobiography of Malcolm X had a deep, profound effect on most of us, cultural icons is something we need in addition to our teachers, our scholars, and our parents. We need cultural icons to show our Muslim youth. And as we become more and more assimilated in this country, then it is cool to be an American Muslim and to have that identity. Dr. Jackson said that Muhammad Ali did more to normalize Islam in America than perhaps any other Muslim in the history of the United States. Of course, Ali was not in a field school executive. You can be a University of Chicago professor writing books that reaches thousands of med students. You can be an imam of a masjid, a kid running for governor of Michigan, a young student running for Cook County Board, or a principal of the school. I will steal and plagiarize Dr. Jackson's quote again. It is one thing to teach that God wants you to wear hijab, but it's quite another thing to produce a cultural orthodoxy that makes wearing hijab cool. As a cultural icon, people like Sister Iftihad, Bilqis Abdul Qadir, Mahmoud Abdul Hussein and Hamza Abdullah, they make Muslims be cool. And some of the elders out there do not realize what the psychological impact that has on young people today. So let's not deny the power that culture can play on the impact of our kids, and if we have more of these icons in the mainstream, let's embrace that. Sister Iftihad was able to be the best at what she does without compromising her moral compass. Many of us grow up wanting to play basketball, to be on the basketball team, or on the football team, or be part of the cool kids. But to be accepted to that community, you may have to go drinking or partying, or compromising certain values you hold. But she showed you don't have to do that. You don't have to compromise your values to climb the corporate ladder at work. We love Muhammad Ali, we love Hakeem Olajuwon, we love Sister Iftihad. Not because they won a title or a medal. We love them because they represented us, and they stand for what they believed in, and the success of the product of Islamic values. So tying the two together, I hope that any Islamic institution, just like MCC or MCC Academy, creates an environment that cultivates students, and cultivates the talent so that our kids become the best at what they do because they have a strong identity as Muslim Americans. As I conclude, our goals at the MCC are to create an environment that is welcoming to all, that makes our masjid a place where kids can come in and be happy, to make them feel like a masjid is a fun place to come at. Not necessarily to make scholars and religious leaders, but to give them a sense of identity so when they go out into the real world, they'll be proud and strong Muslims. We can start out by welcoming them with open arms. And parents, make a concerted effort to bring your kids to the mosque. If you don't like it, then I welcome you to come and make it better. With that being said, I'd like to thank all the staff of the MCC Academy for organizing this dinner and their dedication and the work, not just for this dinner, but to be the ones to help to teach our future generation. Assalamu alaikum. Enjoy the rest of the evening.
Also, Governor, being the new president, we're going to take a picture of you because in 4 years you're going to have white hair and you're going to become more bald. Take it from all the past presidents and community members. All right, we are going to, I didn't lie to you. All I need you to do now is going to get food. When you get food, I want you to chew. And I don't want you to talk. So you just keep on chewing, keep on drinking the water. Clarify. So, and what we're going to do is we're going to have performances. So we have the Nasheed Club, we have a Dapka Club. So there's a few different presentations. So as the food is coming, we just want to make sure you give your undivided attention to these young kids in front of us, inshallah. So can we do that? And I need you guys, I know it's 800 people in here, but I need you guys to make sure that we also pay attention to the people in front of us on the stage. They've done a good job. We have 55 raffles to give out after this is over. If you listen really well, we're going to start giving you some raffles out. So please make sure if you haven't filled out your notes or your raffle card, please make sure to do that. And we are going to, in a few minutes, fill those up. Ms. Sheikh. So Mrs. Sheikh, Mrs. Denell Ferguson, thank you so much for sending this up. And
This dance is done in joyous occasions such as weddings, parties, graduations, and gatherings. It's meant to represent unity hand in hand. The boys representing the Devga Club have devoted their time and energy in learning a new dance within a very short time period. And I want to thank the leads, the teachers that led this, Ms. Amani Saada, Ms. Suad Abdul Jabbar, and also Ms. Fatima Musa and Ms. Khawda Abdul Najib. Thank you, Jazakallah. Come on up. Young lady who's going to do a
of living life on a merry-go-round. You can't find the fighter, but I see it in you, so we move mountains. We gon' walk it out. Move mountains. And I'll rise up, oh rise like today, oh rise up, oh rise unafraid, oh rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you, for you. Silence isn't quiet, and it feels like it's getting hard to breathe. And I know you feel like dying, but I promise you it's me. bring it to its feet. Mountains, and I'll rise up, rise like the day. I'll rise up, rise unafraid. I'll rise up, and I'll do it 1,000 times again. For you, for you, for you.
So that's a sixth grader, so mashallah, we want to thank her. I know she was quite nervous, so we have a thing called MCC Got Talent. So it's officially still going on, and we'll have a final show next month, but we wanted to at least showcase one of the talents. So, you guys have been good, food is coming, we are going to give you some raffles. So we're going to give you a few minutes to build programming. So with that, let's begin some names. Alright, so this one is from Voodoo Gear. So this way, if you get some socks, and you need some socks for Voodoo so you don't have to put your foot in the thing, this will be good for you. So who's this individual? That look at this. It's Robina Mullick here. Robina Mullick. I know some people who are not Muslims right now like, what are we talking about? We will talk to you about the foot in this thing later. Right now, yes sir, is that correct? Congratulations. Alright, this is from the Hijab Vault. So a company from the Hijab Vault, we cover you beautifully. 2 hijabs. This individual, Muhammad Arman, your child is Ahmad Arman. This is a great gift to your wife, or your sister, or grandparent, someone in your family. Muhammad Arman. Is that Muhammad Arman right there? All right, 5 more seconds, then we get to someone else that's a blue check. Oh, yeah. Thank you. Hey, good evening. Let's get another one. All right, this is from the Hijab Vault. All right, is Alexander Burrell here? Alexander Burrell? It's a Hijab Vault, but I can get you something else too. But you come on out. All right. All right, thank you. Excellent. And good morning.
I just wanted to thank Mrs. Salda for that wonderful introduction. That made me seem a lot cooler than I actually am. The great thing is the sense of community and the sense of family that you feel within the gathering. I spent 10 years at MCC for elementary and middle school, and I've been blessed to feel that sense of family every single day. Being at MCC for 10 years, I was on my dean and was able to strengthen it. The Arabic, Islamic history, and Islamic study classes set the Islamic foundation that guided me through all of high school and much of my college career. I have attended a Catholic high school on the North Shore, where I was one of the only Muslims in the building. Many of my friends have never met a Muslim before me, and it was only through the Islamic education that I was able to teach my friends about Islam while strengthening
And I said, no, it's going to happen. Let's change the game. Let's feed the people first. They will not leave for fundraising. They will not leave for the keynote speaker, because I believe in you. So please do not, on Monday, make me look bad in our committee bad that we had vouched for you guys that you will not leave. Allah's watching. Doors are closed. Fear God. Alright, you guys are doing great. So we're going to give another raffle. As we give dessert in a few minutes. Some more awards. Niswa fashion. That means for the rest of their lives, when the child meets the Fatiha, she's also getting the rewards. And the alphabets. So it's Mrs. Hola Abdul Majid here. Mrs. Hola Abdul Majid. Sorry, none of them knew that they were getting these today, so they're all surprised. Jazakallah khair. Masha, she had 4 of her boys graduate from our school. All of them are in college. Oh, 3 of the boys. Okay, sometimes she says the husband's like the son, or you know, she has to take care of 4 boys. That's what she told me. Jazakallah khair. And who's always with you? Your dynamic duo. It's Fatima Musa. You also have that 10 years. Come on now. Also teaching the Quran and Arabic in the lower grades and elementary grades. Jazakallah khair. And she also has a son at Northbridge right now, graduating as a senior. Accepted to Champaign, where her mom is kind of worried about sending him off. We just had a conversation about that last week. Should I let him go? Then I started to sing that song, Let It Go. Let It Go. Just trying to keep you guys entertained. Talking about early childhood, we have another teacher who's been here for more than 10 years. It's Ms. Zareen Mustafa. Ms. Zareen Mustafa. Yes, it's been more than a decade. Talking about early childhood, here's another teacher that's taught to kindergarten. This individual makes sure everything in the office is taken care of. She's an individual that kind of keeps me organized also. Make sure my desk looks somewhat decent. This individual, when it comes to money, she is so precise. Sometimes she calls and says, hey, can you just double check if I put the money in the right place? If it's $1, $2, one of the honest things I've ever seen in my life. And just a good heart, school all the time. Sometimes we're like, just relax, go on vacation, it's okay. This is Amina time. The lands of Ireland. An individual has gone past more than 20 years. So for this time has been 20 years, and Mr. Abdul Fattah here. Zaman. And training's going to be coming after Isha Salah, so maybe at 8:45 like I did. He went to go eat the Isha prayer. I told him don't have today, just get someone else. But I couldn't tell him why. So he will be here. And the last individual. She's been here for 10 years and has been a teacher. We have convinced her to come from the public school to our school. Is Abir Saleh here. Congratulations. God bless you for all the work. All right, so here's the word. There's a dessert table out there. I need you guys to somehow come back. See, I was kind of worried about the dessert table. Like, let's not have a dessert table. When they leave, someone will sneak up. We are promising. You are going for 10 minutes. 8:10, we're going to begin the program. We're going to finish by 9 o'clock. God is watching. It's 8:01. 9-minute break. Please go ahead. Thank you. Right. Well, this is Emma. major youth program that we have that we're really proud of. Last year, we started a program for kids with special needs and autism. We had 13 kids. This year, mashallah, we have 23 kids on Saturday for a few hours that come and learn about the faith. And we want to thank our alumni students, Anwar Abdullah and then also Nihai Iqbal for leading this program. We are looking for more volunteers. We have several other students who are still want to join the program, but we need some more volunteers to come in every day, every Saturday. So with this, we are requesting all of you to keep on supporting the school. Our school, with our tuition, we're always $1,000 in deficit per student, but through donations, fundraising, and any other ways, we have always taken care of that. So with that, I'm requesting Brother Azam Hashmi to come on up, just to remind us a few things about supporting the school.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد وبارك وسلم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Respected elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Allow me to have your attention for a few moments for us to fulfill the obligation of tonight. And so I'll wait just a moment because open disclaimer, after this point, if you're speaking, you are bound to $1,000. Alright? Tonight, alhamdulillah, Allah has brought us together as family, friends, as community. And I find myself in a very interesting position. Number one, the fundraiser, oftentimes I'm the one standing between you and a great meal. Today, alhamdulillah, you've already been fed. And secondly, the unique position is that sometimes I go as a fundraiser to a community, to a school not too far from here within Chicago, but I don't know them as well as you know me. So in this fundraising, the good and the bad is that I know all of you, you know all of me. Which means I know where you live, I know what you drive, you know where I live, and you know what I drive. So tonight we as a community are going to come together to...
Yes, again, please, just whenever you want to pledge $100, $50, whatever you can. May Allah bless you guys and thank you. And I really want to, just before I'm going to introduce our main speaker, but I want to, all this happens because of the volunteers. And so I want to really thank these, the committee of Jill Lally. May Allah bless her for all the work. She's a superstar. She puts a lot of time and effort, and sometimes we get tough on her, but she always keeps on going, so may Allah bless her. We forgive her for any mistakes that we have done. Kazini Fai is a super mom. May Allah bless her for all her work. And she's also on the board. Asma Fadura, awesome, amazing mom. Miss Suzanne Bahdan, a teacher, Mrs. Ilham Bahdan, Mrs. Sheikh, Belinda Kabayan, awesome, may Allah bless her. That's like super PSD woman of the year. Belinda Suggery, she just keeps on, may Allah bless her. I have so many kids graduating from school and always keeps on helping. Mrs. Adami, I call that the Bosnian connection right there. And thank you so much for holding down the left. And Sakina, may Allah bless you. Sakina, God bless you. You're very good. They wrote Sakina. Say it. So Sakina said, may Allah bless you and all the other individuals in time and effort and all our staff members and this admin team. Now, how do we introduce the main speaker? Everyone is here, so speaker, don't worry, they didn't leave. All right? But come on, that's not the way I do stuff. You don't know. Morning Assembly has to be entertained. And this is not a Friday, we're thinking it's a Friday. So, let's think about this. Who is this individual by the name of Ittihaj Muhammad? So, this is Ittihaj Muhammad. First thing you know, she's an entrepreneur. So, what can you tell about? She has her own clothing line. So, what we want to make sure, I'm coming for my daughter, she's okay with it, you know, so that is there. But we don't know about Sister Ittihaj Muhammad. This is awesome, because when I was a young kid, boy, I wanted to be like Mike, and I want to just do it. camera so we couldn't get it, right? So we're thinking of taking a picture of the Hajj, putting it on the Barbie doll, but we got that from her granddaughter Aisha. We kind of stole it right now. But what we know her as, Ibtihaj Muhammad, is the Olympic gold medalist fencer. So what do we have to show that? Oh, wait a minute. You got me. You got me. All for one and one for all. 3 4 musketeers. Shit. Thank you, MCC. Thank you, big. Okay, I don't want to hurt someone. Just in case someone took a picture of this, please do not put this on the website. Alright, just trying to get a lot of stuff, right? So, please give a big round of applause for the admin team. Do all the work. I just do all the talking. This is Mustafa, this is Solomon, this is Ahmed, and all bless you guys. So with that, please give your undivided attention to Miss Ibtihaj Muhammad. And after her lecture, we have 7 of the final gift cards. This is not what I'll say. We got some tickets to I Heart Halal Festival, Cubs tickets, some Bulls tickets, so please wait.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for that introduction. That's a first. I've never had 4 musketeers introduce me. For your sake, I hope it doesn't end up on the internet. And my Barbie doll will not look like that, thankfully. It's a little bit cuter, has on a fencing uniform. Anyway, thank you so much to everyone here for coming, but also to MCC Academy for having me. It's been an honor to be here, to see how dedicated the families, the parents, friends in the community are to seeing your school develop, to see the children, how successful they are, and how successful they will be. It's definitely an honor and humbling for me to be here. So my name is Ibtihaj Muhammad. I am the first Muslim woman to represent Team USA at the Olympic Games. And also the first Muslim woman to bring home a medal for our country. So you know, my journey as an athlete has not always been an easy one, and I'm here today to tell you that I'm no different from anyone in this room. My journey as an athlete started from very humble beginnings. I'm from Maplewood, New Jersey. Shout out to New Jersey. What a good country. There's 2 of us, yes. From New Jersey. I'm from a pretty large family. I'm one of 5 kids. And in our family, sport was very centric to our household. I'm African American, and in our family dynamic, you aren't really given a choice on whether or not you play sports. It's more so what sport you get to play. So I remember being really young and my parents putting our town recreation book in front of us, and we got to pick what sports we wanted to play. And for me, I was always trying to run faster than my brother, jump higher than him, and I was always very into sports. So I played tennis, I ran track, I did softball, and for me, in each of these different sports, my parents always had to adjust the uniform for me. Like a lot of young Muslim girls in the room, I spent a lot of time in Models and Dick's Sporting Goods trying to find the perfect long sleeve top or like spandex to match your team uniform and underneath, you know, the team shorts. And when I was 12 years old, my mom and I discovered fencing. We happened to be driving past the local high school, and we saw athletes from the road. We saw into the school, we saw athletes practicing in the school cafeteria. They had on long pants, they had on long jackets, and they had on, at the time, what we thought were helmets. And my mom's like, I don't know what that is, but when you get to high school, you're doing it. So I wasn't really given a choice, but when I got to high school that fall at 13, I joined my school's fencing team. And I like to say that I didn't find fencing, but fencing rather found me, because it was this unique opportunity for me as a kid, as a young Muslim kid, to not only pursue my desire to participate in sport, but it also allowed me to be an athlete without compromising the tenets of my faith. When we think about what a uniform is and what it means, I didn't have that growing up. You know, I was always having a uniform. I never looked like my teammates. And as much as I love fencing and what it's done for me in my life, it was also the first time in my life that I realized that my skin color as an African American and my hijab as a Muslim had the ability to change how people treated me. When I would go to fencing competitions as a kid, I would have parents of other athletes, you know, say to me that maybe I should be playing basketball because I was black. Or maybe I shouldn't be fencing because I was Muslim. They would ask the referees and officials at the competitions if, you know, my hijab, if it was safe for their kids to play with me because maybe my hijab, you know, would some way interfere with the sport itself. Now I realize they were afraid that I would beat their children. But these are the kind of things that I faced as a kid. And it's not unique to me, but these are situations that, you know, can happen when you're different from, you know, your peers. That can happen when, you know, you're the only one in a sport, you're the only one present in the room that may be a person of color or maybe different religiously. And I never let that stop me from pursuing my dreams, never let that deter me from pursuing things that I wanted for myself. And I was really, you know, blessed to have a fencing team at my high school that accepted me for who I was. I remember I was at a competition, I think I was about 16 years old, and a woman came up to me, a white woman, and she said, you know, there are black people who fence in New York City. And I remember being really offended at the time. I'm like, that was kind of rude, you know? It's exhausting as a person of color to constantly be reminded that you're different. But I remember going home and telling my parents, there are black people who fence in New York, we have to find them. And that's how I discovered a nonprofit in New York City that I still fence for to this day. It was started by a 6-time Olympian by the name of Peter Westbrook, and he found the sport of fencing by chance. His mom is Japanese descent, his dad's African American, and he was raised by a single mom in Newark, New Jersey, very, you know, tough neighborhood, tough environment, and his mom, you know, gave him $1 to try fencing. And he ended up being really good, went to NYU, went on to become this prolific fencer, did a lot for minorities within the sport. He was the first African American to represent Team USA. And, well, in fencing. And what I love about Peter is that instead of walking away from the sport of fencing, he decided to start a nonprofit about 25 years ago. And it was his opportunity to give back. He wanted other minorities, people from underserved communities, to be able to use fencing as a vehicle the same way that fencing changed his life. And for me at 17 to find this nonprofit, to have the opportunity to see minorities successful in the sport on national teams, on world championship teams, having world medals, had been to the Olympic Games, it was the opportunity for me to see myself successful in the sport. As a kid, I saw fencing as an opportunity to go to a big university. And that was always my goal. I remember telling my friends when I was young, I was like, I'm going to fence because I want to go to one of the nation's top schools. That was always my plan. But when I discovered this nonprofit organization and I saw these African American athletes successful in the sport, it was the first time I could unconsciously grab my aspirations in the sport of fencing. It planted the seed in my mind that I could be successful just by seeing minorities successful in the sport. I went on to graduate from Duke University, where I fenced there for 3 years, and when I graduated from Duke, I remember I was applying for jobs. I graduated in the midst of a recession. I was applying for jobs. I was studying for for the LSAT, applying for law schools, and so having a hard time finding a job. And I remember looking at Team USA, and I noticed that there had never been a woman of color on the United States women's saber team. That's the weapon that I had. So there had never been a woman of color on the team, and I'm like, you know, I don't have a world ranking, I don't have a national ranking. Really, the odds are stacked against me, but for me, I saw an opportunity to change the face of Team USA. It's hard for, not just for me, but it's hard for our youth to see themselves in spaces when there's a lack of representation. When you can't see yourself be successful in those spaces, it's hard to picture it. And I really wanted Team USA to be as diverse as the town I grew up in New Jersey. I wanted Team USA to be the America that I knew. And I kind of embarked on this journey on a total leap of faith. I remember people telling me I was crazy to think that I could qualify for, you know, a national team at my age. At the time I was 21. And alhamdulillah, I've been on the US team now for 8 years. And but I say this to say that these different parts of my journey, there's always been someone there to tell me no. There to tell me that it's not possible, that it's not going to happen. And sometimes there will be people who will come into your life, even dressed as friends, right? A lot of times we look for support, we look for encouragement, maybe from family members, maybe from friends, maybe from a teacher. And I've learned as an athlete that the first place I should look to for support is within myself. The first place I should look to for encouragement is within. Because if you don't believe in yourself, who's going to believe in you? I remember the U.S. national coach, even after I made my first U.S. team, the U.S. national coach, I mean, it was a tough environment for me as an athlete. I was the only woman of color on the team, I was the only African American, I was the only Punjabi on my team. We travel to 12 to 15 different countries a year. We spend a lot of time on the road, and it's hard to be different, it's hard to feel alone, and it's also hard to not feel included in a space. And I remember there's like a 2-year stretch on the time I was on the US team where I was depressed. And I can now look back on that time and recognize that moment in my life as depression. But at the time I didn't realize that the people around me in the situation I found myself in was making me sad. And I remember right before the start of the Olympic qualifiers in 2015, I had this epiphany, right? I decided that I wasn't going to allow the coaching staff, I wasn't going to allow my teammates, I wasn't going to allow a bad result, to affect how I felt about myself. I wasn't going to allow anyone to take, you know, my own happiness from me. And as corny and cheesy as it sounds, in 2015 before the Olympic qualifiers started, I just kind of chose happiness. I decided that I was going to believe in what Allah had written for me. I was going to believe in the journey that was in front of me. Even if that meant losing, I was going to be happy. So I was in Russia, I was in China, I was in Korea, I was in places that I didn't want to be, eating food I didn't want to eat, with teammates who didn't like me, but I was happy, right? I could lose my very first match and I decided I was going to be happy. I was just telling some women at the table earlier that at one of the most important tournaments of my life at an Olympic qualifier, I had food poisoning. This is a lot of information for you guys, but I had food poisoning and I had bad raw salmon, and I got so sick, I kid you not, I thought I was going to die in Greece. And I remember before the competition, just asking Allah to allow me to represent, I always ask for the same thing before I competed, to allow me to represent myself well, allow me to represent Muslims well, and allow me to fence my best. That's all I ever asked for, because I realized that how I responded to situations, how I responded to Allah's, how I And in that moment, as weak as I felt, I just asked to be supported. I asked for strength. And it was a blessing because I ended up that day, that competition, qualifying for the Olympic team. And I say that, you know, my journey has always been bigger than me in a sense that I remember failing to qualify for my first Olympic team in 2012, and I remember how sad the people around me were, how broken they seemed by me not qualifying, and I've always realized that things that are meant for you will never miss you, right? So I don't feel very caught up in a loss. I didn't feel too sad by not qualifying for the Olympic team, but I see how it affected the people around me. And I remember I was at an Islamic conference. It might have been like Isnar, Iqna, and I remember a little girl came to me and she asked me if I was an Olympian. And at the time in 2012, I wasn't. I'd never been on an Olympic team. I failed to qualify. And before I could tell the little girl I wasn't an Olympian, my friend interjected and she said, "She's not an Olympian." And I remember, like, it pulled at my heartstrings. It was hard to hear from someone else, you know, that I wasn't Olympian, but also in that moment, I'm like, man, she's not a friend, right? She didn't believe in me. She didn't believe in my strength as an athlete. She didn't believe that it was possible. And also this little girl in this moment, I'm like, man, I remember being her age. And I realized what it would mean for us as a community, for like little black and brown girls all over the world, for Muslims everywhere, what it would mean for us to see us present, you know, on the Olympic team. And that's when I dedicated the next 4 years of my life to qualifying. And honestly, the Olympic journey for me came out of failure. There's so many times where we face obstacles in our lives when we feel deterred. When we feel like, okay, that's not meant for me, I failed, I'm gonna walk away and I can't do it. But for me, failure inspires me. I love when people say that I can't do something. I love to hear, like, you know, one of my guy teammates, you know, think that I can't beat them at practice. I train with all guys, and I beat them every day, right? There will be people in your life who will tell you that you can't do things. You will even tell yourself that you're not capable of doing things. But you have to learn how to really embrace the journey. Failure is a part of life. And have faith. I think that having a strong faith base, believing in Allah's journey for me is what allowed me to not just qualify for the team, and not just believe that it was possible, but also know that it happened for a reason. I qualified for the Olympic team in the midst of the presidential election. At a moment in time where I feel like being a Muslim is almost as hard as being black, which is a really big statement. I think that this is a moment in our time where Muslim women who wear hijab know what it feels like to walk in a room and be feared without anyone knowing anything about you. To pass judgment on you, to fear you, to believe that you're oppressed and you're not worthy and you're not capable. That's how African American men feel walking down the street every day. And I think that to qualify for an Olympic team during such a difficult year for us as Muslims, I think it's a part of my journey. I think that it happened for all of us. I never felt like this was for me, but I felt like it was a win for us all. It was a time where us collectively as Americans have the opportunity to see Muslims in a light that was starkly different from what people see day in and day out of Muslims depicted in the media. Who else is tired of seeing the Muslim woman who's wearing all black, who's Arab and oppressed and doesn't speak English? And it's like, no, I'm everything that you say that we're not. I'm strong, I'm confident, I have a voice, I'm American by birth, I don't speak any other languages, I know I'm wearing black, but I like black. And it's this opportunity for us to change our own narrative. What I want most for our youth, black and brown youth all over our country, Muslim and not Muslim, I want them to believe in themselves. There's so much that is meant to break us and not feel capable and not feel worthy. and to have an academy like MCC that is meant to uplift and to build as a community, to come together and not judge one another. I feel like that is what's most important. I didn't have a Muslim school growing up. I went to public school my entire life, and to know that there are schools like this that exist, I feel like is a blessing, and I'd love to see the support of the community. To see so many people here on a Sunday night till 9 p.m., that's impressive. And they fed me first. As we know, Muslims is no left. Yes. So I appreciate each of you for not just donating your money, but also your time and your energy to ensure the future of our youth. It means so much to me to have the support of the Muslim community, to have the support of non-Muslims, to meet so many nice women today who have taught so many of the kids here. I know how much support means and what it can do for your psyche, what it can do for your future. And I would want to challenge everyone in this room to find something inside of yourself that you can use to benefit your community. For me, I believe that Allah has given each of us a gift. I don't know what that gift is, but I believe that Allah has given us each a gift to be great. I don't know, I still feel like I'm searching for my gift. I don't know what it is, what I'm supposed to do with my life, I'm not sure yet, but I know that I want to be a proponent of change. I know that I want to leave this world better than the way that it is now. And I challenge each of you to find out what it is. Don't look to your neighbor, don't look to your family member, to your wife, to your mom, to your dad. Don't look to anyone else to encourage you and support you. Look within yourself. You know that you have something special inside of you, and use it as a way to not just increase yourself, but increase the people around you, to be a proponent of change for your communities. Again, I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you to MCC for having me. I wish your community and your school all the best, and until I look forward to meeting